And before we get into plan options, whichever plan you have, you will need to know how to find a doctor. Your plan administrator will be Nova this year. And so you can find an in-network doctor by going to novahealthcare.com, click find a provider. You're going to want to choose medical providers, and there will be a list of networks. The network on your card will match the network that you're looking for on Nova's website. And from there, you can find in-network doctors or facilities and search to see if someone specific is in network. If you're having trouble, there is a number on your ID card for your health plan. Call that number, Nova will help you. As for the plan options, there are 2 plan options this year, a standard copay plan and a high deductible HSA compatible plan. This is the traditional copay PPO plan without an HSA. Preventive services like your routine physicals, well child visits, mammograms, routine labs, x-rays, vaccines are covered 100%. The difference between in-network coverage and out-of-network coverage on this plan is very largely that your in-network facilities will protect you from balance billing. The network amount will be accepted as payment in full. You can see that if you go to a primary care doctor or specialist, you'll have these relatively low copays. If you get telemedicine care through Teladoc, which will send you to someone on call to talk to you, that will be covered at 100%. For services more complex than that, if you need complex radiology like an MRI, or if you need physical therapy, occupational therapy, anything like that, you will pay your deductible, which is where the gap insurance starts coming in, and then the plan will pay 80% and you'll pay the other 20%, which is also something that the gap coverage they were just talking about can help you cover. For prescriptions, there are these copays. There is both in-network and out-of-network prescription coverage. You will get these copays if you go to an in-network facility. Your prescription benefits are managed by Cigna, and so most places are in-network. With the gap coverage, they were just talking, forgive me, with the gap coverage, they were just talking about the deductibles versus the copays and what you'll pay out of pocket. So here is an example. Let's say you sprain your ankle. You go see your primary care doctor to make sure that it's not broken. You pay $20 to see your primary care doctor. That's your copay for that plan that I just showed you. So that's all you pay in that circumstance. Your doctor orders a routine x-ray, that's covered 100% by that plan, so you don't pay anything for it. But then that doctor says your ankle's not broken, it's sprained, go get some physical therapy. Physical therapy has a co-insurance on this plan. That's that 20% that you'll pay, and it is subject to the deductible. So if the physical therapist charges $100 and you haven't hit your deductible yet, you pay that $100. Your plan has an out-of-pocket maximum, which is a cap on how much you'll pay in a combination of the deductible and that 20% coinsurance that you'd be paying. So say you go to the ER has a $250 copay. That's what you pay for that. And then you are admitted to the hospital. When you're admitted, that hospital stay is subject to your deductible. If you'd sprained your ankle before and you'd paid that $100 for physical therapy, there's a $2,000 deductible total on this plan for an individual. So there's $1,900 left. You would pay full price for your hospital stay until you've paid the total of $2,000, including that sprained ankle and everything you've paid this year. Then your plan starts paying 80% and you pay the 20 remaining. So if it's $1,000 a day at the hospital, you pay 20%, which is $200 after your deductible. That gap coverage that they'll talk about some more later can help you offset that. Because once you've hit your gap coverage deductible, the gap coverage will help you pay for the rest of your medical deductible. More on that later. Your plan, yes?
That's the same if you are with a family plan, or is it different, the deductibles?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well. Say that again.
He's asking if it's the same for a family plan or if that's versus an individual in terms of these deductibles.
Your deductible will be different for a family. So in that plan that I just showed, there is a family deductible of $6,000. And we'll talk in a moment about what counts toward that $6,000.
So it's usually a individual.
I'm sorry, you're very muffled.
Each person would have to reach 2,000 each individually, but if you've got a bunch of people in your family,
If you're still talking to me, I can't hear you. There's like
You're good. Sorry, you're gonna want to speak up, Scott.
Yeah, I was just kind of answering the question.
Oh, thank you.
Same room, but I apologize. That was my bad.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead.
So the out-of-pocket maximum will put a cap on how much you pay out of pocket. This is a number for an individual. Once you personally have paid your out-of-pocket maximum value, which is $3,000 on this plan, the plan will pick up the whole tab. That is things that count toward that out-of-pocket maximum include your payments toward your deductible. So if you have an individual deductible of $2,000 and then you pay 20% after that, that $2,000 and that 20% all count toward that $3,000 out-of-pocket maximum. To continue with that previous question about the deductible, this plan has what's called an embedded deductible. You have a family deductible of $6,000 and say your spouse spends $3,000 and you spend $3,000. Only the amount that each of you contributed toward your individual deductible will count toward the family deductible. So if you spend $3,000 and she spends $3,000, you will have spent $4,000 together, not $6,000. Because you're contributing only the amount of the individual deductible. But if you have two covered kids plus you and your spouse, and you pay $3,000, she pays $3,000, and then together you count for 4, and then each of your kids spends another $2,000. Now you've hit your $6,000 family deductible. That's $2,000 for each of you. And your health plan will start paying for things that have a coinsurance, like a hospital stay or physical therapy. And that's where gap insurance can come in and help reduce the actual out-of-pocket amount that you pay when you're paying toward your deductible.
Hey, Dale.
Yes.
I just want to clarify on that premium plan where it's a $2,000 deductible with the gap insurance at $1,500. It's probably not. I don't think any of the employees are going to do a gap plan with that. It's kind of a pick.
Right. I'm sorry.
And I just don't want to confuse people, because when you have a $67.50 deductible, it makes sense that you'd use the gap plan. But I think we should talk about the gap plan in the context of
with the HSA plan.
Yeah.
And here is the HSA plan.
Yes.
The plan option 2 is an HSA qualified high deductible health plan. For those of you who've never used an HSA plan before, the gist of it is that you put your money in a health savings account. That money that you put in does not count toward your income tax, so you put it in tax-free. It can accrue there. You can have investment options for it. Anything that it accrues while it's sitting in that health savings account, and investing is also tax-free. And when you spend that money on qualified healthcare expenses, it comes back out tax-free. Except for routine preventive care, you will pay full price for all care out of your HSA or your regular money if there isn't enough in your HSA yet, or you spent and emptied your HSA. You will
Now, when
pay.
you say, what question on that? When you say full price, you don't mean not the insurance discounted rates that you've negotiated. You just mean you'll pay the full bill, the
Right.
full
So,
discounted negotiated bill.
correct. So if the doctor charges $200 and but gives the in-network rate of $100, then you'll pay $100. You'll just pay the whole $100, not some like $20 copay.
Hey, Dale, this is Scott again. I don't mean to keep interrupting. On this out of network, these numbers are twice as much as the in-network. So
Yes, they are. Thank you
I
for
think the
catching.
point is that this would be
In addition to,
$13,500. This would be $27,000. You don't want to go out of network. That's the point. And the other thing is, like you were saying, if they charge $200, but the negotiated rate is $100, that's how much you get charged if you're in network. If you go out of network, you have to pay whatever because there's no negotiated.
adjustment.
Right, then you would pay the full $200. That was the doctor's cash price.
This would be double what that is.
He is correct. Thank you for that. Because you will need to meet your deductible before your health plan starts paying under this HSA plan, this is where that gap coverage becomes super useful, and you'll see it in their slide deck when they keep talking about gap coverage. In what it covers, you're probably seeing a pattern here. You'll pay the in-network or out-of-network rate respectively up until your deductible, and then the plan will pay everything up to its maximum allowable amount after that in-network, or 90% of its maximum allowable amount out-of-network. Like the other plan, there might be medical necessity review for long-term physical therapy, for surgeries, for hospital stays. Prescriptions in the HSA plan, like everything else in the HSA plan, you pay the in-network negotiated rate or the full out-of-network price until you hit your deductible, and then the plan pays. This is a good time to talk about saving on prescriptions. So especially if you have an HSA plan and so you're paying full price for your medications, or even if you have a copay plan and you need a medication that's considered a non-preferred brand drug, you can often get a better price by using a GoodRx discount card instead of your regular prescription benefits. You can still count what you spend on your prescriptions toward your deductible. There is a process for that. But to check prices on GoodRx, you can use the GoodRx app or go to goodrx.com, enter the name of your drug, and you'll see different prices at different pharmacies, and you can download or print coupons that you can show your pharmacist for the discount price. There are instructions in a handout that we will send out for making that count toward your deductible by filing a manual claim. But the short story is there is an app called MyNova. MyNova is an app for your health plan that will let you photograph receipts and file claims from your phone. It'll show you a digital copy of your member ID card if you need one or you've forgotten your physical card. So MyNova app, search your prescriptions at goodrx.com and see if you can get a better price. If you have problems you can't solve, your claim is denied, your doctor says they don't take your coverage, but you think they do, you get a mystery bill, You can call the number on your medical plan ID card. Nova should be able to help you. If you still have problems, you can call us at Impact. Our number is on the FAQ handout. If you have questions now, you can drop them in the chat. That's what we're here for.
Scott, I was always just gonna call you or Trent, so
Yeah.
I'm very sorry to hear about these other phone numbers because I really liked when I could just call you like on a weekend about these questions.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dell, for running through those two plans. I wanted to make sure everybody here knows, while you're trying to make a decision about enrolling in these health plans, anything like these things can be confusing. We're talking about major medical, we're talking about gap, and you may be wondering, what should I enroll in for me or my family? I have this health thing going on. You can call Dell or myself. We're going to give you our number, and we will advise you on what you should do. And that's the type of call where you can say, hey, Dell, I think I need this type of procedure. I have this diagnosis. You can have that conversation with us, and we can tell you, here's what plan you should go with. We can say, hey, I'm on this medication. Which plan should I buy for this? And we can even help you maybe source it cheaper even elsewhere. So I just want to make sure everybody knows, like, please call us. We will do some one-on-one benefit counseling so you can make sure you guys get the right health plan for you for this year. And if you have any questions, you don't even have to say, maybe you already know what you want, but you just have a question, you want to just check on something, just call us and ask us or email us so we can give you the right advice, the right answer. And we're always available for that. So
Just before we move on to the next thing, does anybody have any questions when we say deductible or co-insurance or out-of-pocket maximum? Is there anyone that has a question on how those relate? Is there anybody on the phone even?
and we'll update that presentation, send it out.
Yeah.
We'll have the examples in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk if you guys want. We're using.
Yeah,
the
but I
owl,
do
so-
want to make sure, because that's kind of a fundamental thing. The other thing I want to point out is, we went through two plans, but Brevium is offering two medical plans to choose from. And if you choose the low deductible plan, then you pay the difference between the premium for that plan versus the high deductible plan. And so Brevium covers 100% of the high deductible plan for you and your family. And so you can decide, do I want to spend a little bit more money and have a low deductible plan? Or do I want to just keep the high deductible plan? But then there's a third option, and that's what David was talking about, is the gap plan. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm mixing up my name. Oh, okay. Anyway, what Mike was talking about. So anyway, was there anybody that had questions on copay versus what a deductible is?
Scott, there's some questions in the chat. Maybe you want to take a look at those.
Okay, what do we have?
Looks like Dell's answered most of them, but there were some questions on pharmacies, if there's a prescription delivery service through Cigna, like a kind of an online pharmacy. And then Brent had a couple questions about what maximum allowable amount meant. And so Dell said maximum allowable amount is the amount the health company is willing to pay. There's one for each service. It will basically never matter except when you're out of network. Is the answer.
Okay, good. So let's go ahead and go on. So we want to go ahead.
I have a question too. Did you have more questions we need to answer there first, Jerem?
Mike, did you get your answer on the delivery service, or do you still have outstanding questions on that?
Okay, if I have questions, I'll take it offline. Don't worry about it. Thanks.
I think we're good on that.
Dell, you mentioned an app to file prescription claims if you use the GoodRx option. If you're not using GoodRx, if I'm just going to a local pharmacy and I present my insurance information, can I assume they're going to bill the insurance for
Yes,
that without me doing anything? Yeah, okay, that's what I assumed. Thank you.
I think the good thing with GoodRx, and I just learned about this, I think Colby told me about this, my parents did as well, but especially if you're on a high deductible plan and the insurance company's not paying for any of your insurance until you've reached your deductible. Oftentimes, if you go through GoodRx, they've got lower rates than even the negotiated rates through your insurance. So if you had a prescription and it was $40, and that was the pre-negotiated rate, but you had to hit your deductible, you'd be out of pocket $40. But if you go to GoodRx, you might find that same prescription for 15.
So Del, when do I use MyNova to make a manual claim versus just assuming the pharmacy is going to bill my insurance? How do I know?
So if you use GoodRx, you'll and you want it to count toward your insurance deductible, out-of-pocket max, etc., then you want to file a manual claim. Another reason you might want to file a manual claim not at the pharmacy is say you have a provider who takes no insurance, like you like to see a certain therapist and that therapist is in network to no one. You can ask for what's called a super bill, and they'll it's like an itemized receipt, and you can file a manual claim with MyNova then, and you'll get some out-of-network benefit.
Okay, so basically, if we're working with a provider who doesn't bill insurance, we can file a manual claim and get a credit toward our deductible, or get it reimbursed if we've met our deductible.
Correct. There.
And that's where we would like to help you. Like, we would want to work with that provider and the member, one of you guys, if you're doing that, so we can make sure that those things work out smoothly. Nobody gets reamed with a massive bill, you know.
Thank you.
Survive there, for sure.
Do we know the difference in cost for the employee between the HSA and the traditional, Scott? Or are we going over that later?
We do know the costs. I can pull this here, but this computer, I'll have to do that after.
Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
going to be, I mean, I can give you some rough ballpark, but let's go after that after.
Okay.
There is a premium. It's cheaper if you do the gap insurance than if you pay on the lower deductible plan. So
All right, should
should we jump into yours?
yeah, so this will make it a lot easier now. So yeah, that first plan, it doesn't really make sense to have the gap insurance, but that's a pretty rich benefit plan. So we know that high deductible plan, 6,750. And what I like about HSAs is they're simple. You've got the deductible and whatever co-insurance, and this is 6,750, 100%. Everything's going to go against that deductible except for preventative care. As far as your prescriptions go, the gap's not going to help with prescriptions, just so you know that. Another thing I always tell people is, wait, look, if there's generic available and you get a generic on GoodRx, it's dramatic savings. You know, so generics and generics on GoodRx. Sometimes even Walmart will have specials on medications for $4, and everywhere else they could be $30 or $40. That's just to get you in the store. So they're using those prescriptions as loss leaders. But take advantage of that. It saves you money. Okay. So inpatient benefit, once again, is $5,000. So this will be simple because you're admitted to the hospital. You're going to have a $1,500 deductible on the gap plan.
This is all gap insurance.
This is all gap.
Okay.
And then $5,000 of benefit after that. So who's good with math? Colby, you're good with that. What's 1,500 plus
6,500.
6,500. Well, at 6,750, your insurance is going to pay 100%. So now instead of being out of pocket 6,750, you're going to be out of pocket 1,500 plus that extra 250, 1,750.
Hey, I'm sorry, can I interrupt real quick, guys? I'm sorry. For those of us who are remote, could you share the screen again like you had before, please?
Is it not? I'm sorry. I thought it was-
Thanks, Mike, for catching that.
Yeah, thank Brant and everybody else too, but yeah, no worries, guys. Thank you. Appreciate your help there.
You guys are more than welcome to speak up. I'm using the owl and it doesn't like echo or anything like that. So there shouldn't be feedback.
It'd also be helpful if somebody's monitoring the chat. I don't know if anybody's doing that or not.
I think Jared's doing that.
Jeremy, monitoring
All right,
chat.
everybody can see that.
Yeah.
No, I don't have to
No.
share these. No.
That's a Zoom.
All
All right, someone help. I'm trying to do it.
Okay, yeah.
We're seeing the screen now sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
All right.
Will do.
Is that working, Mike?
It's better. I can see the next slide.
Okay,
Hold
so
on,
yeah, that's
hold on,
right.
I'll switch you.
That's the part I was. There we go. Yeah, there you go.
That's
That's
better.
good. Thanks, guys.
Okay, perfect.
Yay.
So anyway, that inpatient thing's really simple to understand. So you're gonna go to the hospital, you're gonna give them your medical card and your Transamerica Gap card. And almost every inpatient situation, you're gonna be out of pocket. Probably $17.50, because your health insurance pays 100% after that, $67.50. So
That's for that's if you spend the night in the
Inpatient.
hospital.
Yeah. Inpatient, yeah, you gotta spend the 23 hours mark. If it's something big, you'll probably have a hospital stay. But once again, it does cover those maternity charges for having babies as well, so. Okay, outpatient, here's something that's got some difference to it. Your outpatient bucket of money is $2,500. You still have the $1,500 deductible that this gap plan pays, so first $1,500 you'll be paying. The next $2,500 your gap will pay. That's $4,000. So you'd still have possibly $4,250. So typically outpatient claims are less expensive. And than the hospital stays. They can be some pretty big ones. So you can see some of the
We got a
examples.
question back here.
Oh, yeah.
The $1,500 deductible is not the same whether it's inpatient or outpatient, or are those two separate 1,500?
No, it's treated them as the same.
The same,
Yeah.
okay, so whether you meet 1,500 in a combination or
Right.
once you meet the 1,500 deductible,
Yeah.
okay.
But the difference would be what it's going to pay. If it's an
That's right.
outpatient claim, $2,500, inpatient claim, $5,000. Okay.
Could you get all of them? Yeah, for the first year, you get the inpatient, outpatient, and ambulance, could you get up to $10,000?
No, just thinking you got, I like to call them the two buckets of money. You got this bucket for outpatient claims. Once that's exhausted for the year, it's done. And then your inpatient bucket of $5,000, once that's used, then it's done. If you had a bad year like that, your insurance is going to get to that 100% point though.
In theory,
Correct. Right.
That's true. The only thing is, once you've hit your out-of-pocket family maximum, and then somebody else has something, they're not gonna go back retroactively and say for this third person. So they're gonna say, you've already hit your deductibles, so we're not paying anything else. So it's
Correct.
practically speaking, probably wouldn't give them 3 people.
Right.
Are these buckets per individual or per family?
Well, they're per individual, but once your family out of pocket's been met. So this follows your health plan. Once your health plan's paying 100%, it's done for everybody. in your
It's
family.
secondary insurance.
Yeah, it's secondary insurance.
Isn't it 2x though? I mean, as far as the plan, I think it's only, I think if it's a 5,000 maximum, it's.
Yeah,
per
your
person, so
health
it's
plan,
10,000.
because it's HSA, is only ×2. So and it's an embedded deductible too, like that lady was explaining. So it's an embedded deductible. So if one of you meet your $67.50, you're done. And then if another person or collection of the rest meet $67.50, then you've met your family deductible in that bucket. So,
Okay, we got a chat question. Do all providers who accept NOVA also accept the gap insurance, or are there circumstances where they do not accept the gap? / do we need to research that ahead of time?
no, there is no network. Most providers will accept it. If they do not, there's a process for filing the claim yourself to Transamerica. It's not that bad. You just get a copy of your EOBs. You fill out a 1-page claim form, and there's a place you can either email it or fax it into.
We help with all that. You got a claim to file, call us. We want to get it filed with you.
He'll help you with that. That's full service broker here.
Yeah. So the gap insurance, and I just want to, I'll just add to it if it's okay, but the gap insurance will cover anything that your insurance, if your insurance covered something, they were part of the provider's network, as long as it's one of the things that they cover, they're not going to say, well, they're not on our network. They will cover it if your primary insurance covers it.
Good question, though. I've been in these meetings and more than once, somebody said, hey, I figured out how to make this work the best. They filed a claim every time. So if you do that, let's say you have a hospital bill. You go to that hospital and say, hey, if I pay you cash right now, will you give me a discount? Sometimes they'll give you a pretty decent discount. You file the claim, you still get the full refund back. So there's no rule against that. So, but it's extra work, but you could come out ahead doing that if you want to. Most people just turn in the card. They don't want to mess with that. So, also you do have one more smaller bucket of money for one thing, and that's ground or air ambulance. This is kind of a big deal because I don't know if you've ever heard, ambulances are just awful to deal with. They don't work with anybody's insurance. So you've got $2,500 to help cover an air ambulance or ground ambulance. So here's the thing let's talk about the things it's not going to cover, some important things. I would say most of your big ticket items it's going to cover. So things this won't cover is prescriptions. So you want to be really good at consumer on those prescriptions. For good RX, look for the generics, look for Walmart or Sam's Club or Costco deals. It's not going to cover the emergency room for an illness unless you're admitted. Once again, that's just so we don't drive utilization to the ER. If you have an accident, you go to the ER, it's going to be covered. If you have an illness, some of the things could be covered, but you could have a claim that's not covered in the ER. So you still want to be a consumer. Use your clinics, use your urgent cares. So that's not covered. Doctor visits are also not covered. So you're going to have to pay that full $100 discounted rate or the full $200 if you're going out of network. So those are things to keep in mind. So if I chose this plan, if I chose the high deductible health plan, HSA, I would go ahead and buy the gap too, but then you want to still maybe put some money away. You don't have to put as much away, but I would still put some money in your health savings account to cover those doctor visits, prescriptions, and maybe up to the $1,500 of expense if you have that major medical claim. So the gap's designed to cover those big ticket items that we talked about. It's not designed to cover the lower cost things like doctor visits and prescriptions. And just remember, the big one is ER. Like if you get a sore throat or a fever, don't go to the ER thinking the gap's going to cover you. You have a sore throat, you have a fever, probably use your telemedicine, the teledoc first. That's the most cost efficient thing to use. And then urgent care after that. The gap's not helping it.
Got a few chat questions.
Yeah.
On the HSA plan, are ambulance fees subject to out-of-pocket maximums, or are they a separate thing?
No, they're supposed to be covered with deductible and co-insurance. What we find though is sometimes there ends up being a battle between the ambulance company and your insurance company. And
Call us.
yeah, just call. In fact, I know Colby's been through that exact thing with another company he insures. There was a big ambulance fight between the insurance company and the ambulance company. And it's probably the worst thing in the healthcare system is ambulance companies and insurance companies. Not ambulance companies won't join a network, and then they want to charge whatever they want. Insurance companies say, "Well, that's unreasonable. We're not going to pay that much."
The thing is, as long as you're in network, you'll never have to pay more than the out-of-pocket maximum per individual or per family.
Correct, but that all goes to your out-of-pocket max, deductible and out-of-pocket max. So But it's just nice to have this benefit because of the history of issues with ambulances.
So let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. Okay.
Okay, so this is an example here. So the left one is an inpatient example. Let's say your hospital saves $10,000. That's a good deal. We don't see that anymore.
That's like one, right?
Yeah. So without gap, your medical deductible is $6,750. So you'll pay $6,750. There's zero gap benefit because you didn't choose to have that. That's your bill. With gap, same bill, no co-insurance. So $5,000, it's going to kick in and pay after the $1,500 deductible. I would change this because your net out of pocket is really $1,750 because you've got to pay the first $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I would call that a $1,750. So even at $1,750, that saves you $5,000 on that bill. For an outpatient example, so radiation chemotherapy totaling $7,000. With gap, your bill is going to be $6,750. This is, of course, assuming you haven't met any deductible yet. Same with this one. However, I don't know if I put this together, but that really should be $1,750.
Yeah.
$1,500 deductible plus your. Just so you know, we have to have a $1,500 deductible on there on an HSA because the law actually requires the minimum deductible on an HSA can only be $1,500. But this gives you the advantage of that low premium. I mean, the health insurance part of it's covered 100% by your employer. That's very generous. That's not all employers will do that. So get your premiums down, and the gap insurance is not that expensive as you will find. So, and the main reason you have health insurance is for those big expensive claims. If all we ever had to do was go to the doctor for sore throats and earaches, we really wouldn't need health insurance. So this is going to protect you most of the time even better than the $2,000 deductible, $3,000 out of pocket plan for big ticket items. So it really protects you against those big claims. Probably the combination of these do better than, and for less money. So you would still possibly want to put some money in your savings account, but always know that if you don't use that money, you get to keep it. And it's a tax-free contribution to the savings account.
Yeah, the HSA goes with you when you leave the company too. That's your money forever. But you only spend it on medical expenses, but you have your whole lifetime to do it.
Right.
So it's tax-free forever. It's yours forever as soon as it goes in.
And you young guys especially, you can, once you build up that account, you can eventually put it into more interest-bearing accounts, some moderately safe investments that most HSAs offer. And then at age 65, whatever's in there, if you've accumulated a lot of money, you can do a one-time rollover into your retirement account.
How much can you deposit into the HSA account?
Okay, so 2023, it's 3,000. I think it was 3,750. I think it just went up.
So for 2022, I know the family was 7,300, so half that for a single. And if it went up, I'm guessing it went up $100.
Yeah, in 2023.
No, it's 7750.
7,750. Okay, it went up
For 2023,
Yeah, 2023.
That's for
family,
family, and then for an individual,
Individuals, 3850.
3850. And how do we adjust our HSA contributions? We can adjust those at any time, right?
And I
You can do it anytime. In fact, I've been just gonna ask a question. Do we have somebody from Magellan on this call?
You do that with me,
Okay, with who's me?
Trent.
No, I know, but I mean, do we have
Working for
somebody from
Magellan?
Magellan on this?
No,
call?
Magellan doesn't handle that. We do. When we do payroll and we set you guys up, you tell us how much you want us to take out of your paycheck and we get that set up for you.
Trent, we can
But-
change that in iSolved at any time. We can just log in there, correct?
Yes, you actually, I'm not sure if you have the ability as an employee to change it. We may have to, but you definitely can log in and see what you have, and it can change paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah,
iSolved?
iSolved, it's where you view your paycheck currently.
yeah, that's the jump. Yeah, no, Trent, the reason I was asking if we have somebody from Magellan is I was also going to talk about open enrollment, kind of the process.
Yeah, I'm from Magellan. I'm here.
Okay, good.
And
Right.
employees should have access to go in to their and change their HSA contributions as well.
Okay.
Good, less work for me.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, less work for Trent.
And if we change it in iSolved, that automatically flows through to the paycheck for you. You don't have to be notified separately.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, we probably want to check it, but if it's.
Okay.
I've done it and it.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Great.
always worth sending a note just to verify before we run payroll.
Oh, Trent, and I just had a team member look, and right now your employees do not have access to do that, but if you want them to, they can, so it doesn't have to funnel through you.
That would be nice.
Okay, I
So
will let them know.
question related to that, if they, do you guys automatically stop it when you hit the IRS limit so they won't accidentally withhold more than the IRS allows?
I believe iSolve calculates that to make sure they can't, they don't hit that, but I will double check on that.
And then last question on that, is it possible, it's almost the end of the year, is it possible if we haven't been making contributions to make a kind of a large contribution here on the last payroll?
100%. Yeah. If you do want to max that out, before the year ends and that resets, you can do that before the calendar year is up.
You just need to make sure to change it before the 25th though, Brett, because that's when we do payroll. So please do it
Okay.
before
Actually, the 23rd.
23rd so we can have Christmas. Thank you.
Okay, and, oh yeah, good idea. And then Grant also said, if you want to, you can dump the whole thing at the beginning of the year, so you've got it all available, if that's what you want to do too.
It's very flexible.
Can you do that from external funds to deposit into the HSA?
It's gonna come out of your paycheck.
Has to come from.
But does it have to though? Like,
I don't think it has
It has to come out of your paycheck.
it does have to?
We don't have
Yes.
a means of taking deposits from
Okay.
customers.
It's easier for sure because you want to take it out of your paycheck because you don't pay any taxes on that as it comes out. So if you take out $300, you're taxed on what's left over. So it's just easier for you if you do payroll. Sure.
One other thing to remember, guys, too, is if you have a spouse that's working and she's contributing or he's contributing to HSA, it's a combined limit. So make sure that you're paying attention to that if you have a spouse that's contributing to an HSA as well.
Thanks, Abby, that's a good point.
Good point.
And I think the IRS will penalize it just like they do if you over contribute.
In a paying tax.
You pay tax, yeah. And they might be a 10% penalty too.
If you have an HSA account with another employer, does that account also count to the
Yes.
maximum for
Yes.
this year?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, per social security number,
Uh-huh.
you've got that limit. And then still, if you're married, your combined social security numbers, you just have that family limit, regardless of. But it makes sense to just contribute to one account, though. It really does. Another slide.
So I had a question about that slide.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So sorry, can you
I
go
had
back?
some.
I'm
Sorry, this one?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, okay.
So on the outpatient gap benefit, should that be 2,500 instead of 5,000?
Yes, it should be.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, so just,
Okay. That
Was she in the
makes sense. I
hospital
just
last
wanted to be sure.
Her sister was.
sister. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks. That's a good.
So
catch.
Here's what we're gonna do. We'll update this and we'll send this out. We'll update the other one. Dell went over, we'll send it out. And Dell has an FAQ sheet and she's collected all the questions from the chat.
Oh,
And we'll
terrific.
Also send that stuff out.
Great,
And then
thank
we'll
you.
be available for more questions. Any kind of question. There's no specific questions. We really want you guys to get this set up right.
Yeah.
And I will I'll publish what the employee premiums are if you want to get the low deductible plan. And I'm gonna say, or the gap insurance plan, or maybe you just say I don't want either, but I want to contribute to my HSA, or maybe you don't want to do that either. Those are your choices. It's like you have to pick a medical insurance plan, right? You have to, everyone needs to have that. So by default, you'll be in the high deductible plan. If you want to have a lower deductible, for whatever reason, you're more comfortable with that low deductible plan, that costs. If you say, oh, I like the high deductible plan, but I want to buy the gap insurance, there's a cost to that. And then your HSA contributions, that's up to you. That's just before tax money to pay that you could use to pay for all these deductibles. And it's not just these deductibles, it could be any kind of medical related thing. So if you want to have LASIK done on your eyes or something, which isn't part of your health insurance, you can use your HSA money for that as well.
Yeah, so let's cover that real quick. So even out-of-pocket dental expenses, you can use HSA money, vision expenses, over-the-counter medications. There's a lot of things you can use your HSA.
Glasses.
Glasses, yeah.
Those
Cosmetic
don't
surgery.
count for any of the deductibles.
No,
Correct.
no.
Does for your dental deductible if you have a dental plan,
We do, but it's
the discount plan.
So the what you're paying for does not have to be reimbursable by the insurance in order to use the HSA funds for. Another good example is orthodontics, right? You don't have much of a benefit there in terms of insurance, but you can use your HSA dollars to pay for that and save your taxes on it.
I mean, if you think about all the things that's going to happen over your lifetime, just with there's a medical expenses for sure, but a lot of people have eye surgeries like LASIK or something like that. You've got orthodontics, you might have crowns you put on your teeth, implants,
Eyeglasses.
eyeglasses, even cosmetic surgeries. If you have a cosmetic surgery, whatever it is, you can use your HSA for that.
Chiropractor, absolutely.
Counseling and therapy.
Yep.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I would recommend loading some HSA dollars at a minimum, even if you don't think you're gonna get sick,
Very
right?
smart.
It's
Yeah.
just,
You will have expenses, so yeah, just do it. You may as well pay for it tax-free.
All right.
Okay,
Are
I
you
think that's
still?
good. I think
Okay, that's good. So as far as the person from Magellan, is there anything that do you want to share a screen, or do you want to talk, or is there anything you want to cover on the open enrollment process?
So the biggest things, the dental and the vision stayed with EMI. So there are no changes to the benefit summaries at all on that. And then the biggest things for us on our end, please, just as you're going through open enrollment in iSolve, just make sure that you hit submit, because a lot of people will go through and they forget to hit submit. And when that happens, you guys don't pull up on reports, then you don't get enrolled and you're not happy with me. So just make sure you hit submit. Another thing, make sure beneficiaries are up to date and your addresses. If your addresses aren't current, we can't get your ID cards to the right place.
when should we expect cards to arrive?
I would say, so the carriers get, kind of backed up. But with you guys not changing carriers, you guys will see those, sooner than if you did. So I would say probably last week of December, first week of January. We've also started to notice that carriers are, starting to send ID cards in kind of unmarked envelopes sometimes. They can look like junk mail. So, open up your junk mail just until you get your cards, so you don't actually accidentally, sorry, I'm having a tough day, throw those away. Coming from
Hey,
someone
Whitney,
that, yeah.
is there also a way we can get a report to know who hasn't clicked submit so that we can take care of that?
Yeah, we sure can. So just reach out when you want us to send you that report, and we can get that over to you.
Grant, why don't we set a deadline to get everybody registered, give them the deadline right now, and then let's get the report the next day. Does that
Okay,
work?
everybody need to register by Friday.
By Friday, okay.
Tomorrow.
I
Is
like
anybody worried they can't get that done?
Is it possible? I mean,
Means you'll have to
maybe
make a decision.
Wednesday at the latest, but try and get it done tomorrow if you can. Make it a priority.
What I was going to say is that if we could get all the rate stuff loaded into iSolve so they could do the open enrollments, I was going to propose that we have next week to do that. So Monday through Friday, and Friday is when it closes.
So Trent's recommending that we get addresses. I'm sorry, Scott's recommending we get addresses and beneficiaries in but allow next week to make the decision on which plan to go with. Is that what you're saying,
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
'Cause I-
so
I-
until the
Promoted.
until the 23rd.
Well, is next week, I guess Friday's the 20th. So we could try to do it sooner. So how quickly could you have iSolved ready if I give you the rates?
That will kind of be how far backed up the team is. If you want to send me that over today, I can get that over to them right after. And then
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I can let you know how that's looking.
Okay.
So iSolved is not ready for us to do
It's not
everything
ready right now. I
yet?
can get you the stuff today, no problem, but they have to have it set up first.
I
So
see.
That's the reason why I was thinking tomorrow's Friday. That's why I think it's more feasible if Monday is when we start open enrollment.
Okay, what do you think we can start open enrollment Monday? Can we get the iSolved stuff set by then?
Yeah, I'm chatting the team right now. If you just want to send me that stuff over, we should be able to get that going for you.
If it's open and available on Monday, can we not wait till Friday to finish this up? How about Wednesday?
That's
to
what
try
I
and
would-
Get all this
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend. I don't think many people, are Friday, everyone's going to be kind of forgetting everything except Christmas.
Then let's use Thursday morning. Could we get a report on who's hit the list and hit submit? And then Trent, I think we should follow up Thursday and Friday. Our goal should be nobody's left behind by,
Friday.
early Friday. Yeah.
Perfect. I love that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we'll do.
If they're declining the insurance because they have it through a spouse, do they still need to fill out open enrollment saying they're declining it?
Yes, then it's like,
Yeah.
or else we won't know.
So even those that decline need to enroll and select waive. Okay, good.
And when you guys go through it, it's actually called waiving
Waiving.
Yes.
coverage.
Awesome. That sounds good. I will watch for that email.
Okay, thank you. So I think this is the end of the presentation portion. Are there any questions? We've got Colby and Mike here that, thanks for coming, you guys. Too.
Yeah. So
And same with Dell and Whitney for being on. But if there's any other questions.
the teledoc number is in the materials you're going to pass out. Great.
So you guys, this is what I emailed this out last week for employees, but this kind of covers a lot of the.
Including the teledoc number.
Yeah,
in there.
There's a follow-up
I think
app
it's
as
in there.
well.
But you can.
just do it from your
Okay.
phone.
I'm sorry.
There's no dental or vision information in that.
It's not, I will get that information. So the dental and vision stuff hasn't changed from last year. We're staying with the same coverage. And I haven't been given new materials, but I think we still have the old materials.
Do we?
Most that I don't know what the dental ambition was.
Yeah, no, I know. We need to have it available, but I don't have it right now.
Rather than emailing that, Grant, where should we post this so that it's available all year and we don't have to go find it in our email? On SharePoint?
Brett, we have a channel on Slack called FT Benefits, and that we'll post everything there so everyone can find it.
If we don't want it to
Yeah,
expire, we should put it on.
let's put it on.
It'll
let's put it on-
expire on Slack.
Yeah, let's put it on SharePoint so it doesn't end up becoming part of an old history and getting expired or something. Yeah, we should put the link in Slack and pin it, but let's put it up on SharePoint. Who could take that action to put it on SharePoint?
I mean, as long as I know the right place, I can get it.
Okay, Scott, you'll get it on SharePoint and then send it on Slack on the thing that Abby just mentioned, just so people can find the link there. Okay.
Right.
Other questions?
Any other questions in chat, Jared?
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, that was a good answer.
You have a question, reach out. I've heard you reach out to several different people. Do you know which people to reach out to in which circumstances?
If it's medical or gap, reach out. And what's
Colby?
your number? We're gonna email it to you guys.
And
So
if it's
coming out
vision or
with the
dental,
FAQs with the presentation.
And I just want to say, Colby's been fantastic to work with. I know I've reached out to him. And
Really?
yes, he's been super responsive and he understands the stuff and he gets stuff taken care of. So, I mean, I'm super happy that you're here. I think this is good. We also have pizza in
Nice.
the main room. So, and there's a lot of things I thought we were gonna have more people here. Snow. we had to be-
So it's okay if we have some-
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
But anyway, I just want to make sure, if we're done with questions, if there's no other questions, then we're done, and I appreciate everybody coming. If you still have questions and you want to ask me, I'm also available to answer questions as well. And I think I know most of the basic questions, and if not, I'll go through to Colby.
And
Also the premiums.
I will get those out
Having
today.
the email also.
I'll get those out today.
Okay.
So you'll know, and you can decide, even if open enrollment doesn't open until Monday, hopefully you guys can decide quickly, what's gonna make the most sense for your family. Yeah, I can update those models if you'd like. I do have them. I didn't update them with the premiums, but yeah. Okay, I'm glad someone looked at that.
I did too.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. I guess we're. So you